Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Friday, February 16th, 2018. I want to say hello to everybody. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
I just want to make sure the audio's on. Good. We're good.
I've been a little under the weather, so is Mari, but my voice, I actually didn't have a voice for a while. So if you've noticed, there's been a few videos with a lot of subtitles, which is not a bad thing, but so glad to be back. Wanted to cover a couple of things. We've had a lot going on in the last week and a half. I don't think we have enough time to really go over everything, but get you kind of up to date right now with current conditions. We are expecting some minor G1, G2 geomagnetic storms to hit Earth within the next 24 hours. Right now, solar wind speeds are just underneath 400 kilometers per second. Density is pretty light. Sunspot 2699 is definitely decaying and is leaving Earth facing. It's turning away on the western limb. The solar proton flux has been very weak, so that flare, that sunspot is definitely weakening and going away. Good thing there. Looking at just an overall view of how the solar wind speeds and everything's been acting. It's been pretty steady, not really decline or increase. It's just been overall steady over the past 24 hours. And there's that coronal hole. Now this is what we're expecting the G1 storms to come from right here, is this coronal hole. It's pretty wide. I made a mention earlier in the week when we did a video on AR2699 and the CME that it threw out. I'd made a slight forecast that we'll see wind speeds increase from 475 to 625 kilometers per second. I'd say that's pretty accurate, just judging the size and the width of this hole. And then we've got some little coronal holes developing now as well that are coming towards Earth facing. So we could see some activity from our sun here in the next few days, space weather wise anyway. And there's a reason why we're seeing a lot of unique weather right now. And I want to go next into this quick story here about the polar vortex. I know you guys have seen tons of coverage on this, but I wanted to quickly touch base on it because this is part of the reason why we're seeing some wild weather right now. It's been forecasted many months, 2 months ago, that this polar vortex would invade the eastern and southern part of the United States the first part of February and last up to 50 days. That has changed, obviously, due to sudden stratospheric warming. Again, that's a factor that really you cannot forecast. That's why it's called sudden, obviously. But the block that it's created, it split the polar vortex into two. And as I put out a video earlier in the week about the snow that we've seen so far this year, the UK and European areas are about to see some really bad cold, if not already. And the snowfall is continuing out there. So they really are taking the brunt of this polar vortex right now, and we're starting to see a pattern change as well. I wanted to point this out. This is huge because this is not what we had forecasted, where the eastern part of the United States was supposed to be cold. Now, the eastern part of the U.S. is experiencing very mild weather. We are in western New York. I can tell you right now that we're experiencing, today is 35, it's lightly snowing. Yesterday it was 47. It felt amazing outside compared to the winter that we've had. We're forecasted for highs on Tuesday and Monday and Tuesday of 51 and 57. That's pretty warm here in western New York in February. But as you guys can see, the pattern is flipped. The western part of the United States is now seeing the colder weather, very colder weather in the northern plains and the northwest area. So, but this is not going to last for very long. The pattern is forecasted to go back to a more stable cold pattern for the eastern part of the United States and the southeast in March. Weather Channel is actually predicting March and April and May to be very below normal for much of the country. That changes on a daily basis, it seems. I wanted to touch base real quick on this tornado, apparent tornado that struck last night in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Now, more than 1,000 homes and businesses are without power in Fayette County. And that's down from 3,000. But take a look at this. When you say apparent tornado, I'd be shocked if they come back and tell everyone that this was just all a microburst or, straight line winds. I'm from a part of Ohio where the tornado action, we know the difference between tornadoes and straight line winds, and to me this looks like a minor, if anything, like a F0 tornado. So, but and before I go into the next part, because I want to show everybody the forecast on the GFS, I wanted to talk really fast, and this is where I'm going to throw Mari involved here. Mari and I have been super busy on making content on our website and YouTube channel. We want to kind of up it a little bit, get the education out. I think there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people are not sure what the grand solar minimum. Some people are calling the grand solar minimum the ice age. There is a difference. So Mari and I have ramped up the content, and we are putting up blogs and videos that we made, like the tornado in northern India. Mari put up a piece that's been produced before but has very strong messages from John Casey, the mainstream medias. This was a piece that was actually snuck out under everyone. No one saw it, I don't think, for a while, and recently it's caught fire. But it's something that I think it's important for folks to see, because the mainstream media has mentioned it. Of course, they don't talk about it anymore, but I kind of want to start making this a habit, is going through and on our webpage and kind of, because we also post headlines as far as like, storms around the world. Like here's February 12th, the lightning strikes, 265,000 of them in a storm in New Zealand. Mari posted her interview with Matt Stein, and then she did a wonderful piece on what does the grand solar minimum mean to you. We put that up here as well. But so the reason why I wanted to talk and bring Mari into the conversation is that I noticed when doing this video here, there was very limited footage. And I'm working on an informational video right now about the Uniontown tornado and some flooding in southwestern Pennsylvania. But Mari, don't you find it interesting on how much information that you can find on a small town weather event, and then when you talk about something as rare as India, or just like the story that you covered this morning, how hard was it for you to find actual footage and information on what happened?
It's become extremely difficult, especially within the past week. I'm surprised a flood like what happened in Rio. There's not more going around. I was discussing with Jake this morning, is it possible those countries are being censored in some way, or is there a weird algorithm that is not pulling up the searches of the posts relevant? But we're doing our best to keep on top of these weird weather events.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, and it's sort of weird how they're not getting attention. So we're just keeping our eye on it and reporting it as we see it.
I don't want to sound conspiracy-ish, but I was telling a friend of mine in southwest Pennsylvania this morning that if they come back and say that this wasn't a tornado that hit in Indiana or Pennsylvania last night, it feels like that we're being censored, as if we're trying to keep the main headline. Don't want to cause any fear and panic with all of these storms, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. Everybody, I remember in 2016 when this started a little bit, the weather was just kind of regional, and now it seems like it's everywhere. It's not just here in the United States, it's not overseas, it's not in the remote areas, it's everywhere. And to see these cyclones, like you did a video this week, I did one on Gita, and then you did a follow-up one on that as well. And someone commented on this video talking about how it was heading towards New Zealand, and the region it was heading towards, this is going to be a strong store for them. It's now downgraded to a category 2, but
I think the last I checked it was down to a 1, but I could be mistaken on that. How these fluctuate. It might have picked up. I'm not sure.
But the one thing I really liked about your follow-up video is the fact that you know, this guy's commenting about it from where he's at. Hey, look, this is not good for us. And that's why we put these obscure stories out there, because we're hoping that it reaches someone from that region and they do confirm with us that, you know, this is something to talk about. And the guy from New Zealand had said basically, yeah, we don't get category 2s at this time of the year. It is normal for monsoon season to see these storms. But for the part of New Zealand he was from, and forgive me, I don't remember exactly where he was actually from as far as that goes. But no, but guys, I just really, I have to hand it to Mari on the wonderful job that she has done. I help with the website, but she has made it to where we could just, you know, train a monkey from the zoo to come in here and add articles. So she's really made it easy for me to help with the site, but she's done a wonderful job at putting things together. I want to make sure everybody understands too how to get to certain parts of our page. We got a featured community members, which, you know, this is just a small area of recognition for channels that we feel like that deserve a little bit of extra. Obviously we're going to be there, but like the Starman channel, you know, we want people to be directed to Valentina Zarkova and John Casey's work, the Radical Gardener, Ralph Witche, CWAP.org, that's another good channel. And we're not done with this section yet. We've got tons more people to add to this, but just, you know, want to make people aware that if you're looking for other sources of information, there's a good start. Crop loss information, I'm glad that we set this up. This is going to give us an updated weekly report. Of course, Mari does a lot of work with the volcanoes and earthquakes, global weather.
It changed that if you click on it.
Okay.
New map.
USGS?
No, just the volcano and earthquake, like the actual website.
There's just a lot on this website. I mean, that's why I kind of want to go over this, because you can click on this or go to here. Either way.
If you click on that, it gives you the earthquake that goes to the Smithsonian site.
So this is part of our website, the Volcanoes Earthquake website.
And if you scroll down, there's details about each one. It brings you to the Smithsonian site, which is really good for information.
So we're just trying to show you guys the same stuff that we use to make our reports on, our videos about the watchers. You know, I want to
shout out to watchers,
yes,
because last week we were featured on the front page of the Watchers for our John Casey interview, and they also stuck us in Editor's Picks. Yep. So I just want to give a huge shout out to the Watchers. They do a great job with latest breaking news, world changes, or changes, severe weather, space weather, all that. So, you know, thank you very much for sharing our John Casey interview with your viewers on your site. The
video, we definitely saw the increase in views, and that's great. The main reason why that we are lately, we've found a lot of good informational videos about John Casey and his presentations. And, you know, with what's happened to John, his focus right now in life is his health, and he wants to get back to normal more for himself and his family. And, you know, it sounds to me as if John has retired and is now focused on his personal life, and he should. John has done amazing work. He has gotten a lot of presentations out there, so now it's our job, channels like us all over YouTube, to help spread that message with John Casey and what he's trying to tell everyone. And you know, when I hear it coming from John's mouth, I take it a little more seriously, and it makes me a little more concerned, because we've talked to John. We've communicated with him since the stroke. We had the interview with him. John's not the kind of guy that wants to strike fear or panic into anybody.
He just wants people to be prepared. And that's the one thing I like. He ends that presentation that I posted from 2012, you know, be prepared. And, you know, we have time to shift and adapt. We just have to be alert and be prepared. Some people think this is going to be something that's happening right away. This is slowly unfolding before our eyes. We're watching it all unfold now. So, you know, just be smart, be prepared.
And if you guys need a good website for source information all over the globe, the Watchers, in my opinion, right now is the best website put together as far as like for volcanic activity. They give a report weekly. They cover more than just, you know, weather events. They cover asteroids, anything that has to do with space and weather. and geological information, this channel is, or this website is great. So I highly recommend the watchers. I know all of you are probably already watching or already have visited the watchers several times, and that's where you get your info. But for those of you who are new, welcome. We have seen an increase of subs since the beginning of January. Mari and I relaunched this channel with the purpose of reporting on the grand solar minimum without any conspiracy or political driven agendas, just showing you guys the information as it comes in. So we've definitely seen an increase of subs, and that's why we're also reviewing some of the older stuff to get some of these people up to speed. I know it took me, guys, we know the Grand Solar Minimum channel has been on YouTube now for about a year and a month. Mari and I started the concept on WTF Sky. We were doing it as a weekly show on that channel and dedicated a full channel now to the Grand Solar Minimum. But I tell you, this time last year, you know, I didn't have the know-hows and the knowledge that I have now, and that's just from a year. And I can't imagine what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years. I told somebody earlier they want to do a show with us down the road, and you know, my advice was, you know, someday soon. The Grand Solar Minimum isn't going anywhere anytime soon, so we've got plenty of time for stuff like that, and hopefully we've got plenty of time to get people warmed and prepared.
I still have one more part of our Ralph interview finalized. I'll probably have that up tomorrow. Our Sasha Dobler interview I'll have out too. I'm just playing catch up. We had back-to-back interviews all in 1 week, and I just have been swamped. I've been trying to spread them out, and so I will have those out probably. They'll be trickling. The rest of them will be trickling out by next week at least. And we have a couple more interviews lined up as well, so we're very excited to provide the content.
I'm busy. We're trying to find a schedule that works for everybody. Right now, it's just doing the best that we can. There's so much going on. And I wanted to go over quickly the tropical tidbits before we get out of here today. For those of you who live in Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, the East Coast, and Western New York, up into the New England area, February is going to be very, very bizarre as far as weather and precipitation. Those of you who live in Pennsylvania know that already. You're dealing with floodwaters of many other parts of the country right now as well in the Midwest. But I kind of zoomed up a little bit to the 19th of February, which is Monday, and that's when also this warm air you can see is going as far north as Western New York, all the way into the Great Lakes. And then, of course, the Northwest and the Northern Plains are going to stay cool, but this mild air is making its way through the country, and it's bringing up Gulf moisture. Now, this is something we see in the spring and early summer. But we push forward just a little bit here, and this is what I'm worried about, especially for the Ohio River, Kentucky, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, West Virginia areas the most. Check out what happens here. This is later in the day on Monday, and we go a little bit further into the 20th. That moisture moves up into the northeast. Snow on the back end. We got very cold air still in the Northern Plains and the Great Lakes area. But we're looking at this right now, and just like last night's storm, which was a lot of moisture. So here we go into Tuesday. Ohio, you guys get a little bit of a break, but by later that evening, here comes another band of rain. And you guys will be drenched once again. And look, this is almost running right along the rivers here. The yellow and orange areas that you're seeing. And what's concerning me is how these are slow-moving storms. So by the 22nd, so from the 19th to the 22nd, we're going to see rain in the same areas over and over again. And then another system picks back up by the 23rd. And again, the same areas, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia. Scrolling further along, moisture is almost backspinning back into the region, redeveloping on the backside by the 24th. And here we go again. This dark yellow orange line, more rain, heavy rain, somewhere and possibly when you see totals like this, it's suggesting somewhere around 5 to 6 inches of rain. So that's something we've got to watch here. And then of course we go into later on the 24th, more heavy rains in the Ohio River area. Western Pennsylvania is already seeing the flooding. I'm sure Ohio is right now too. And then Sunday the 25th, it moves out. But look, right back right behind it, once again, on the 25th, there's another system building and more heavy rain along the Ohio River, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia. Once again, you're going to get drowned. I mean, that's a terrible word to use. You're going to get drenched. There is a lot of moisture coming in with all those rivers, the flooding. So from the 19th of February, and it's the 26th right now on the GF, you're looking at, according to the GFS, you're looking at somewhere between 6 to 12 inches of rain, according to the GFS model. Now, the GFS model is a little more aggressive than what the European models and others, but I just wanted to point that out, that the GF is suggesting, here again, March, right in the beginning of March, we're seeing more of the same. So from the 19th of February into the 4th of March, we have about 3 to 5 systems that are scheduled to dump at least 1.5 inches of rain to these regions each time. And that's just in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to do more research on this. I think that the majority of these states are going to be getting their seasonal rain for the springtime in just these next couple of weeks, if these models hold up. And I wanted to check really quick too with the temperatures as well, because that's another thing that we were told, that we were going to see a cooler March, April, and May. I'll just go ahead and put it into motion. And I'll be honest with you folks, you know, where I live, we're in the 30s and 40s here the last few days. The kind of winter that we have, this is welcomed. I'm not upset about this mild air. The only thing that I don't like about this mild air is that we've had almost about 1.5 feet of snow last week, where we shoveled, what, 4 or 5 times.
Oh my God!
2 or 3 different,
foot of snow,
yeah,
easily. And
now we're experiencing the sudden warm up, which is causing flooding here in Western New York. The rivers are up, the ice jams are getting bad. So with all this rain that we've got coming into the east and the northeast, there's going to be some serious flood concerns here, and this is just winter. So I'm a little concerned with the kind of precipitation that we're going to see in the spring and summer. Last spring was very wet up here, and also the summer I thought we had a lot of rain, especially in September. So there's a lot to keep our eyes on as far as the United States goes. I didn't even really cover everyone across seas, so maybe I should go ahead and...
We have someone in France that was inquiring how the polar vortex would affect people in France.
Well, I do apologize for the delay on that. You know, I got to remember, we're worldwide.
Well, I figured also if we do get Starman on to discuss, he covers a lot of the European weather news. You know, we might be able to do that. What is it, this weekend?
I'm going to reach out to him. I'd like to. As you can see, guys, in the Alps, you're experiencing the coldest of the air right now. But, yeah, I think the best thing for us to do, and I've told everyone, as far as the authority on European and UK weather, the Starman channel, not only just the weather, but he understands the solar dynamics, TSI, sunspots. The guy has a very, very firm grasp on the science of the grand solar minimum and other things. So we have his channel link in our description on all of our videos. He's also featured on our channel. We highly recommend him for any kind of grand solar minimum weather related or space weather related updates. Go to the Starman channel. But yeah, I'd like to have him on and just kind of go over the kind of winter season they've had. And, you know, for the most part, most of Europe, you know, France and Spain, looks like they're mild, a lot like the eastern US and most of the country right now. But here comes some colder air right around the 27th of February. And this is where that split polar vortex starts to make its entrance here in the Europe area. Of course, Russia, it's always cold, but it's getting colder at the end of the month of February. So this cold air, you guys look like you're going to be dealing with, especially UK, you guys are going to be dealing with a much colder air at the end of February and the beginning of March. So it almost appears that the weather pattern in this part of the country is going to be about the same for the majority of the United States as well, and everywhere else in the northern hemisphere. So that's a quick look at the temperatures. Now let's see what kind of precipitation you guys are going to be seeing here. Very active, just like it is in the States. Lots of precipitation again in France, southeast France. The Alps getting hit again with more snow. Like it's been an incredible year for snowfall out there. Looks like you guys get a little bit of lull here in the precipitation for the most part in the region on the 23rd of February, right before your coldest air starts working its way in. And then by the 25th, 26th, we start to see some more snow developing in Italy. There we go. So yeah, right about the beginning of March, you guys are going to be saying hello to winter once again. Tons of precipitation. Colder air definitely moving into the region will stick around for March. So it looks like we need to stay prepared and aware. Keep our eyes open, guys, because normally right about this time of the year, we start seeing things kind of winding down for winter and signs of spring starting to pop up a little bit, sunnier days and a little bit warmer temperatures. But right now, I think our climate is telling us that it's going to do what it wants with everything that's going on. The polar vortex, though, this is the main reason why we're seeing the wild weather. This entire system up here is controlling the jet streams, and this is what makes forecasting weather tricky for meteorologists, most of them anyway. Some of them don't even try, but the ones that do try, it's things like this where you don't account for it that changes things a little bit. So again, much welcomed milder air here in the east and northeast area. I know some of you were sitting in the 60s and 70s on the East Coast. If you like winter, though, hang on a couple weeks. Beginning of March, we should start seeing colder weather and snowier. And it definitely looks like we're going to get plenty of rain and snow here in the next several weeks to come. Mari, did you have anything you wanted to add before we take off?
Oh, we just have, you know, like a global warming saying the polar bears are dying and all that, which is proven to be completely false. And I will actually post some papers that I have gathered on the whole polar bear conspiracy. I believe actually I saw a video recently. It broke it down all the way to how the polar bears subliminally got in people's heart, started pulling their heartstrings with the Coca-Cola commercials, and that's when all that stuff sort of trickled. Like now with the global warming stuff, people are like, oh, these cute little puffy white polar bears are dying, when in fact it's just a part of a natural cycle, and they aren't dying. That's a straight up lie put out by the biased half. And there is plenty of proof that shows that, so I will share that on our website, or perhaps make a video about it, or share the video that I saw that goes over it. So yeah, we had a little AGW troll in the chat. So
well,
you know how that goes.
The best thing, and I've always believed this too, our work speaks for itself. You know, when it comes to people that want to disagree with us, the only reason why that people come in to disagree with what we're putting up on this channel is that the global warming side is panicking. They're reeling back. They're desperate, and they're doing their best to try to
they can't even call it global warming now. It's called climate change.
Sure.
So you know, it's all BS.
But yeah, you know, like I said, our work speaks for itself. But yeah, that is something that you should address, because a lot of people are claiming that the polar bears are dying due to global warming. And once again, folks, I put a video out a month ago about how this isn't even really the official beginning of the grand solar minimum. Solar cycle 25 officially kicks it off, and we're already seeing the most bizarre weather that I've seen in my 40 years of my life. So many more people are stepping forward too about how the globe is cooling and not warming anymore. So it'll be an interesting couple of years to witness. What an amazing time to be alive. But also tell you this too, folks. The proof is coming out daily. Scientists, mainstream media, Mari put up a video mentioning a guy over in Australia talking about how we are going to be facing mini ice age conditions in the coming decades. So,
well, the proof is
slowly but surely.
These scientific papers all correlate with each other, and you know, if you stack them all on top of each other and look at the data, everything points to modern minimum conditions.
Yep. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for tuning into the Grand Solar Minimum. Please check back with us, like and share our videos. Get some of this stuff out to your friends. Show it off. There's a lot of good information, especially these John Casey videos. We'll talk soon.